3 different years, including this one.
Jolyon in the commentary box as well. Now, let me bring you down to Aston Martin, who haven't been exactly racking the laps in. They're just doing a fix in the cockpit, and then they're going to finish some setup work before...
No, I spoke to Haas about this. I thought the same about the Haas, and I'll explain why a little bit later. I asked the team, and they have said, no, it's a new tub on that car. It looks very similar to last year's tub. I'll leave you guessing as to who the other team is, and I'll put it out there who've confirmed
teasers from Sam Collins.
That they are a Ferrari driver trying to be just the second driver in Formula 1 history to win the title with McLaren and Ferrari by the time he's done with the Scuderia. That's his aim. Albon out front.
96.
And that Ferrari was horrendous.
And he got a win in 7 races.
And then he put in one of the great... We were talking about Max Verstappen's incredible performance in Brazil last year. And the one that sprung to mind to compare it to was Schumacher in the rain in 1996 in Spain. He was at one responsible for a win on debut in the role. I would do the same as well. Ruth will be joining us on Friday for testing coverage. And yeah, Friday. I had to rewind that in my head because it all feels wrong. Because if they gave to him, that gave him an option to leave. The reason that they were considering the 1 + 1 year deal, they did not want to lose the opportunity to promote Antonelli to Formula 1. And after an incredibly...
Antonelli, as he just pops a better time on the board there, hooking it up through 3 sectors. And yeah, he is replacing Hamilton. That's the reality. It's tough for him because he's so young.
Well, so he's back on the Sauber pit wall, as is Iñaki Rueda, who I think was maybe the man who Ruth Buscombe-Davie was actually filling in for.
You're absolutely...
Its own story. Just the 2 points from last year. I think it was 2 they ended up with, wasn't it? Courtesy of I think it was a 9th for
manufacturer team coming in. Audi, they can work on the car, as you said, Sam, with more wind tunnel time, with the bonuses that come from being the worst team at the moment. But they've got to get the basics right for when Audi come in next year, and that's kind of, I think, a lot of the job. And we can all see is super quick, and he's been getting the great results with Haas the last couple of years.
I think it's a great situation, and this is really a question for you, Jolyon. I think it's a great situation for a rookie driver. Lots of attention's going to be paid to Antonelli. He's in the Mercedes. That's a top team. He's up against George Russell. But then he got this reputation as Mr. Saturday. He was producing great performances in a car that really shouldn't be where he was putting it.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing. You know, if the Sauber car is bad, and this is a massive conjecture on the first morning of testals of it, wherever you are.
We've been talking about one rookie, a man who was arguing it's pretty harsh not to call him a rookie, is 3-time Formula 1 starter and man appearing on your racetrack, Oliver Bearman.
So is he, are we not calling him a rookie? He's a rookie.
Winner. Expected to contend for the title, but last year, one of the most confounding championships that I covered in my time holding the microphone for that series. And Bearman, in the end, able to get 3 wins. One of the times he was on pole in Jeddah, he was promoted to...
Well, we are down here at the newly named Racing Bulls. Someone should tell the people who design and make their screens, and indeed the banners over the garage, because that still says RB. So it's the RB team, or Racing Bulls, whatever you want to call them. But they see last year not too many differences on the RB that I can see. And the chassis, nice few bits around the side pod, some nicely aggressive undercuts towards the back, and a lovely bit of shrunken airbox cover around the back of...
But I've been looking at the weather forecast going forwards, and
Collins talks weather. Here we go.
Indeed, here we go.
Weather klaxon, here we
exactly.
Go.
I think there's a graphic for that. Whether we'll see it today, I don't know. There is rain forecast.
You knew it. It's fairly unheard of, isn't it? And I was jury's out whether it's actually going to
cold in coming out there around the car. That's covered in airflow sensors, and it's just the teams trying to understand what the real airflow is doing over the real car, because all the development on these cars has been done in a wind tunnel at 60% scale, using a scale model.
4 then found themselves slipping back towards the very back of the field. The screens were up and have been removed. You're only allowed to put the screens up if you are making fundamental changes to the car, like taking the floor off the car. The rest of the time you've got to leave the garage open so that you at home
slowly, almost at a steady speed, is not just to make space on the track, but also because of that aerodynamic experiment that's clearly going on. What Red Bull have done, they've painted the upper wishbones and the pull rods with that bright green floating with this dye across the bodywork, and then they'll go and talk to the wind tunnel guys who'll probably say, oh, you've got it all wrong.
It's a nice visualisation of airflow for us as well, seeing that painted on the left-hand side of the Red Bull. This is a snappy, aggressive lap from Lawson. So as we've seen so far in the day, isn't it? 3 hours in, we've seen now 2 turn 4 moments like that for Liam Lawson, one for Hamilton in the Ferrari. We've seen a couple of drivers run wide, Hamilton and Doohan at turn 11, but that was an armful of opposite lock there for...
Then we're going to Australia, and then we find ourselves with Bahrain moved into the middle of the season, so slightly new phenomenon for everyone to test at one venue and move to another. And the underside of the car rubbing on the bumps down to turn 1, but nothing compared to previous years.
I think what I was going to point out is just answer the question that is inevitably being asked by people sitting at home or sitting in their office, probably trying to work.
In front of the nose on the front wing is new for this year. It's a development on the car. The idea of it is to try to give the car a little bit more low-speed downforce. That's where they've been struggling. James Allison over the winter saying we're trying to make the car...
A slightly dusty circuit, cooler temperatures, and as you're trying to squeeze on the throttle, you're trying to weave your way through turn 2, which is the left, and then the right as well. It's typically turn 2, which is the nasty one. And Liam, at least he's managed to get it going again, and he can get
of the left front. Seems to unsettle the car slightly, and I don't know if that's just the nature of what happened. It could hint, and I just say hint because I'm not going to draw a conclusion on this, that the car, and we saw it last, are we doing something? Could we do it better? Could we do it worse?
Well, that's the main headline moment from the running so far in the opening hours of the pre-season test. 3 days of running, 8 hours all the way through, and we've got Pierre Gasly, and we ride on board with him as he heads to turn number 4.
Nice looking car on board, isn't it? The pink and the blue of the Alpine. We haven't seen it too much this morning.
I'm glad they've gone for an actual livery this year.
Yeah, it looks good.
They've actually painted it this year.
Yeah. Straight into another lap, just circulating now in some sort of racing. Bit of oversteer there, and this is where Lawson lost it. You can see actually how hard Doohan's having to fight through there as well. Traction very difficult. Tyres spiking pre-season is to find a balance. Then you need to know if you've got downforce and grip or not, if you've got sort of brake locking issues, if you've got anything else that's sort of creating snaps. But once you get a balance and you've got grip, you're in a good position. So from that point of view, yes, the drivers will know if...
Thumbs up. What else was he going to do? But he did stop short of coming over to chat to me so I don't ask him any difficult questions. Interesting year this for Haas. Having a look down the pit lane, of course, Formula One teams, as ever, developing their own cars from the red team up the other end of the pit lane.
Thanks, Alex Brundle. What I was going to say to you about Haas was that, but we did get a nice look at the Alpine just there as we came back. And next time...
Dominated areas of motorsport, the concept of arranging your front suspension to condition the air to flow under the chassis in exactly the way you want it to. He can see them all on the ceiling. It's fine.
Yeah, it was making, there was so much on his laptop, it was heaving under the strain. But Sam Collins loving the opening day of testing. Alex Brundle down in the pit lane for us, getting a look at what the teams have changed, if anything.
It's like a Red Bull away day, isn't it? It's the away kit for Red Bull.
I like that. That's great terminology for the livery. Looks great. And they've decided on a team name and everything. Terrific. Let's bring in Bernie Collins for the first time behind the wheel later on. That is Beyond Track Limits. He is in attendance for the test. Right, let's dig into the data with Bernie, Sam and with Jolyon and have a look at our first AWS graphic on the right-hand side. Who wants to go first? Bernie. Let's...
Modes of the fuel levels. Through the corners, actually, generally, there's not much to choose, apart from turn 8, as you mentioned, Bernie, where there's a 4
units when they're really at their peak, which, as Jolyon pointed out, they're not at the moment. You start to see them, what we call clipping, or just running out of grunt on the hybrid system towards the end of the straight. So you see the rate of acceleration stop, and actually sometimes you see a slight deceleration as the aerodynamic drag takes over. And they did, and they did make that work. But if you looked at their straight line speeds, it was nowhere. The top speeds were all with Ferrari, with the Honda-powered cars. The Mercedes-powered cars make their time in different sections of the circuit, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Aston Martin know that maybe they haven't got
everyone having the same moments at the same position on various corners, and that turn 13, everyone turning it in, and then just bit of tailwind coming, you lose a bit of downforce and start fighting the rear of the car with the rear tyres at a higher temperature as well, and that's where every years on he did get in the seat. But it is disconcerting for the driver, and Doohan has got this way worse than I had it, because he was signed to partner Gasly, and Frank reserve driver capacity, and they get on really well with him. He's a good guy that's got a good work ethic, and if he can just get one strong result to start the season, I think he'll get his feet on the ground, and the rumours will halt. I don't think there's an alternative to that, really. And the truth is that I don't think Jack will probably know the reasons that the truth behind the management's.
I think that's exactly it. I think Doohan also has a slight advantage over anybody else coming into that team because of his long time with Alpine and the Alpine organisation. He spent an awful lot of time on the simulator.
More important to be dialed in and know exactly give yourself the best shot at turning up as a rookie without the experience, but just getting an idea for where the track goes, what curves you can take, and then dialing into a balance and your race weekend from there.
Flavio Briatore. Oh yeah, there you go. Lewis in a Ferrari, like it's normal, like it's to be expected. After he leaves Mercedes, having rewritten what is possible with a single team in Formula One. Most wins, most poles, most podiums with any driver and team combination in Formula One history in his attention to lap times. He's top of the pile all the same, and having run all year long with a program with the Mercedes team, he's now going to do so with spectacular.